Hello, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Today we're doing a free live training. We're talking about how to compromise and win. This is a live training that I'm doing in my private Facebook community called the High Value Worthy Woman. And while I'm waiting for a few people to hop on, I did want to make a quick YouTube announcement for the people that are watching this on YouTube in replay. So as you guys know, about 3 months ago, there was a YouTube glitch and my live streaming capabilities on YouTube went away. And I've written several times to YouTube, disputing it. And finally they said, nope, they don't know why they wouldn't give an answer, but that they thought that the glitch was real and there was a real issue and that my live streaming would be restored on March 29th. Well, March 29th came and went, and I still don't have live streaming capabilities on YouTube. Now when I try to email them, I get an automated message saying that you have to be a YouTube partner to email them, and I'm not a YouTube partner, so I can't email them, but I've been a YouTube partner for 7 years. So YouTube is just very glitchy. They've been having a lot of issues in the past months, or a few years actually, so it is what it is. If you are a part of my YouTube community, of course I will still post. I'm currently doing a video a week. I plan on moving that up to 2 videos a week soon, but currently it's a video a week. But what you get is my live recording from my Facebook group. So if you want to join live, join my Facebook group. I'll put the link in the description box. Welcome, people. Today we are talking about how to compromise and win. I get a lot of questions from women saying, that they feel like they have to compromise a lot in their marriage or their relationships, and they feel burnt out. They feel like they're being used. They feel like they're not being heard, right? So I want to share with you some of my tips and tricks. I can't talk today. Let's drink some coffee to that. And hopefully sort of change the dynamic of your relationship. Number one advice from me, number one tip is to get super clear on what it is that you want in your ideal relationship. This is you shutting yourself off in a room with a notepad, literally writing down what it is that you want. Regardless of what you're currently arguing about or whatever that battle is that's going on in your relationship, leave that out for a second and isolate yourself, give yourself some time and space, and write down, what does my ideal relationship feel like? So many of us have no clue as to what the ideal relationship is supposed to be feeling like, what we want, what do we really deeper level want. And so therefore, when we go to our significant other and we express our feelings, they're not really our feelings. And I'll give you a really good example of that. Let me say hi to a few people. Good morning, Femina. Dioni, I think it is. Beautiful name. Dioni. That's pretty. Okay, hopefully I'm not butchering that. Nyla, happy Tuesday to you as well. Hi, Joanne. Oh, great. First time live. Welcome. So let me tell you an example, and I posted this example in like Word format a few days ago in the private Facebook group. I have so many women saying to me, Mina, I went to my husband and I was complaining to him that you never take me out, we never go out, we used to do all this stuff, now we don't do anything. And he went ahead and started planning dates and we started going out, but I still feel like something's missing. I'm still not happy. So this is where, when you're not super clear on what you want, this is the dilemma. So as I kind of dive in deeper, asking them more questions about their desires and what it is that they were really looking for, it turns out they didn't just want to go out with their husband. What they really wanted was they wanted to experience new things together. They wanted to have more intimate conversations. They wanted to connect on a deeper level than just hanging out at home and watching TV or doing your own thing kind of thing. So now there's a big difference when you go to a man and you say, we never go out, take me out. Men really want to make us happy. Think about it. Why would a man put himself through what, everything that they do for us. It's hard for them to come and put themselves on the line. First of all, they ask us out, they plan all these romantic dates, take us out, court us for a year, 2 years, they ask us to marry them, they marry us, they're like providing for us, doing all this stuff. Why would they be doing any of that if they really didn't have our happiness in mind? So they want to make us happy. The problem is they're not mind readers, right? So if you go to your man and you say, you never take me out, like I want to go out, he's going to start taking you out, chances are. But you're not going to really get what you want because you were not super clear on what it is that you really, really wanted. And so you didn't give him enough of a clear picture of what you were looking for. Okay, so number one is write it down, get super clear. Thank you guys for those of you joining us live. Give us some thumbs up, some hearts. Let me know that you're here, you're hearing, and you're interacting. This is how I know that I'm live with you guys and I'm interacting, right? So keep those hearts and thumbs ups and all the lovely comments coming. Number two, again, I think I kind of touched on this a little bit, is that give your partner the generosity of intention. And the generosity of intention is really knowing that and accepting that they do want to make us happy, but they don't always know what it is that we want. So if you are just living quietly in the sense that you are just kind of going along with the flow of your relationship, you're not really complaining, then he thinks everything's fine. Okay? Or the other thing is, if you're walking around complaining about every little thing, you're nagging about every little thing, he walks home from work and you've got a face on, you're not really feeling your best, or you're not really happy with him, then it becomes this constant thing where he feels like no matter what I do, I can't make her happy, so let me just check out. So men really want to make us happy, and when they feel like they can't, they've tried continuously, and no matter what they did, we weren't appreciative. And again, this goes back to number one. The reason oftentimes we can overlook a lot of things that men do for us is because we're not really clear on what we want. And if you're not really clear on what you want, some of those things he may already be doing, but you don't have any appreciation for that because it's not really in your radar. So this is where writing everything down, and not just the type of qualities you want in your ideal man, but what does your ideal relationship really mean to you? What does that really feel for you? Okay, so give him the generosity of intention that one, he wants to make you happy, two, that maybe you haven't given him clear enough instructions on what that means for the both of you. Like, what does your ideal relationship look like? If you're not speaking up, mainly he thinks everything's fine, you're not saying anything. If you're always upset, then he's thinking, okay, she's not even someone I can make happy, so I'm just gonna check myself out and either work late, watch TV, play video games, do things with the boys. I'm just gonna stay out of that, right? So that could be another reason. Number three is, so this one's not mine. So I asked my husband last night as I was preparing the notes for this live training, I asked him, so what does compromise mean to you? Because a lot of times compromise, I feel like, has become like the dirty word, right? It's like, I don't think the intention of compromise was to be this negative thing, but I think it has become this negative thing now because it's like, oh, marriage is compromise, we have to compromise. And compromise almost means that you have to just give something up, you have to sacrifice something, right? But it doesn't have to be. So my husband and I refer to compromise as actually compliments. How can we complement each other? And I'll give you examples of that. But I asked him in just quick, I was like, what does compromise mean to you? I'm about to do this live streaming. I'd love another, perspective. And the first thing that came out of his mouth was lose the battle to win the war. And I was like, ooh, I like that one. So I added that. And so what that means to him is, and to me, is that not everything can become this kind of ego battle in your relationship, right? Your relationship, the bigger picture is really important. Again, that clarity comes in. And a lot of those daily things that we seem to make a big deal out of, like where are we going to go out to eat, like little things with child rearing. If you're not married yet, then, a lot of times people can make a big issue on how the proposal is going to be, where you're going to get married, where you're eating out. to dinner, whose parents you're gonna visit first for the holidays, like random things like that. And at the end of the day, like, yes, in that moment, that one thing seems like the thing, right? This is the thing that's gonna make or break it. And it becomes this ego thing where you're trying to see the value of your relationship based on if he gives in this one thing or not. And it really doesn't have to be about that. I have this sort of mindset in my relationship, and I've done a lot of videos out on this topic, I think even like years ago, 6-7 years ago, that I've always had a 2-month rule. And my rule is, if there's something that my husband wants to do and I'm not really like into it, I ask myself, am I going to remember this in the next 2 months? Is this going to be a big deal? And if the answer is no, like nobody's gonna care, like I'm just like, sure, like we'll just do what you want. And I've done this a lot in my relationship over little things, like random things that in the moment seemed like really big deals, and it almost felt like an ego thing. And in my mind, I was creating a story around it, like, oh, how come he always gets to decide this? But I stopped myself with that and said, you know what? Does it really matter to me? In 2 months, I'm not gonna care whether we ate here or not, whether we vacationed here or not, whose family's wedding we attended. Like, it's not gonna matter, because I know these things in the long run don't matter to me. So if you can let go of that story and realize that these are little things and let them go, what happens then is that when I do speak up and I say, this is really important to me, and no, I'm not going to give in to this, he is more likely to give in, because, or at least hear me out and see my perspective, because he knows that if it wasn't important, I wouldn't be making a big deal out of it, because I don't make a big deal out of random little things. So this is kind of like lose the battle to win the war. And the war really is it's your relationship, what you have created, that life that you've created together. It shouldn't be based on these little tiny things that we're trying to find our worth in, okay? So point number 4 is, I want you to look at the things that you do in your relationship. Instead of looking at them as sacrifices, I want you to start looking at them as investments. So those little things. I had a follower write in the other day saying that, Mina, if I give in to every little thing, it almost becomes kind of this doormat behavior. And it's like he gets to decide everything then. So let me explain that to you a little bit further, okay? First of all, why would this man that's with you and that you are with intentionally be trying to control things or lead you through the wrong path? So my question to you begins, first question to you is that, do you think that the man that you're with is a bad guy? Because what you're really saying is that, Mina, if I give in and I become a doormat, that he's going to take advantage of the situation and start choosing everything and manipulating everything and controlling everything. Then what you're really saying is that you're with the wrong guy, right? Because why would you be with a man that's choosing to turn you into a doormat? Right? There's something really wrong with that. So if your answer to that is, no, Mina, he's generally a good guy, like, it's just that if I let him choose everything, then he will start making all these decisions. So again, this goes up to first, the number 2 thing, right? Generosity of intention. The first thing you have to do is you have to trust that the man that you have chosen is a great guy and that he has the best interest at mind. So the example that she used was, is that he decides what family member gets how much money for gifts. Okay, so when there's like weddings and events, he decides like what her side gets and what his side gets, and I'm assuming that it's not fair. So this is something I can completely relate to. So when I got married to Irfan, we had the same thing. Like, he was deciding on, he's very masculine energy, he's very much a leader, and because it was, and it was a new marriage and I was coming from very masculine energy myself, I didn't see this as a positive thing. I saw this as that, oh my God, he's trying to control everything now, and I had a very hard time surrendering to this. But over the years, I realized, one, he has everybody's good intentions at heart, my family's and his family's, because we are a team. It's not me against him, it's not his family against my family. He's really trying to do the best that he can. And secondly, what I realized that he's trying to base the gifts based on what each family member gave to us. This is kind of like the norm for the Indian Pakistani community. So I'm sure that for those of you guys that are part of that community, you can understand this. So for example, if one family member gives $100 and another family member gives $500 to us for events, obviously what we give back is going to be based on that. That's just kind of like the cultural norm. Now, when we came together and got married, he knew what his family's norm was for each family member. He didn't know my family's norm, right? So he would kind of he would just say, okay, well, does $250 work for this graduation present? And I would kind of feel like, well, to his aunt, last month he gave $500. So you understand how in the beginning it can seem like, oh my God, like he's being unjust and unfair and he's giving less to my family. But over time, as he's realized that what each of my family members give, he gives according to that, and he's more than generous, because his family is my family and my family is his family. Like, that's just kind of how it works. And this doesn't mean that we're all like, sitting around like holding hands all the time. Like there's always going to be issues in extended family, in-laws, things like that. But at the end of the day, I trust that the man that I married is a fair and just person and that he has good intentions, right? And now if there's ever a situation where I don't agree with the amount, then I voice it up and I say, you know what, I think 500 will be a better amount. What do you think? So then, he takes that into consideration. So I think the main thing is that if we think that the other person's out to get us, or they're trying to be unjust or trying to purposely put our family, give our family less or something like that in that situation, then as you can see, it can really seem like that in the moment. Hi, Elanique. Sharmeen, welcome. Fatima said, love looking into the future to see if it's important. Yes, absolutely. Because in that moment, everything seems important, right? But then time fades everything away and you're like, why was I arguing about that, right? Shirley said, you are so right, Mina. I used to complain to hubby that we don't do anything. So now I share options with him and we pick an activity to do together and then go out for a meal once a month. This Saturday, we're taking a painting workshop. He's really not interested in painting a picture, but he does want to spend time with me, and that makes me feel loved and happy. I love that, Shirley. This is a great example of that. I absolutely love it. I love it. And I think if you really know that you're with a person that wants to make you happy, he's got good intentions, but sometimes he's not a mind reader, he doesn't know. And if once you get clear like you did that you want to share experiencing with him, have a good time with him, connect with him, that's different than saying we never go out. First of all, that's not a very good way of starting the conversation anyway. So here's number 5, which will help you understand that a little bit better. So number 5 is that when you communicate to your partner about, what it is that you're kind of feeling that you want to do, or there's something lacking, or feel like this is a compromise or a compliment that you want to make. And I'll share after 5, I will share some real life examples from my life on what recent changes that we've made. Okay, so number 5 is you don't have to make the other person wrong to make yourself, to get your way. Okay, let me give you an example of this. I did this for years. So if this is not just even with my husband, with anyone, right? So Shirley, I'm just going to use your name as an example. So Shirley, if you and I are friends, and let's say that you like to go painting, but I want to go out to dinner. And so my mindset was before that in order to convince you to go out to dinner with me, I'm going to have to convince you that painting is wrong. But the truth is that there's nothing wrong with painting. Painting is absolutely fine and acceptable, as is going out to dinner. But I don't want to go painting right now. I want to go out to dinner. So in my mind, I would think I'm going to sit there and be like, well, painting is like so boring, or painting takes such a long time, or we always go painting. Like, I really want to go out to dinner. Now here, I'm like trying to make Shirley wrong to try to convince her that she should do what I'm saying. Well, Shirley's going to if Shirley is a male, first of all, maybe if Shirley's a woman, it might be, she might understand. But because men and women communicate very differently, and they hear communication very differently. The same words can be perceived completely differently. If Shirley is a man, she's going to hear an attack on her because she likes painting, and all of a sudden I'm making painting wrong, therefore Shirley is wrong. Okay, so the way that I've learned to do this now, I get my way so much more. So the proper way to do it, if Shirley is a man, I go to Shirley and I say, painting is such a lovely activity, sounds like a lot of fun, but I'm just not a painting type of girl. I'd love to go out to dinner though. Here, what I've done is I've said there's nothing wrong with painting. Painting is great. Painting is awesome, and Shirley should definitely paint. But I'm not really a painting type of girl, so you want to go to dinner instead? Here, it's like, nobody's wrong. You're right, I'm right, but we want to do different things. Now, of course, Shirley has the right to still say, no, I still want to go painting, and that's okay. You have to accept that there will always be two opinions, right? When you're in a relationship, there's you, there's him, and then there's this third entity, the relationship. But sometimes people are gonna say no, like just like you have the right to say no, he has the right to say no too. But I have noticed that when I approach the topic from the mindset of none of us are wrong, we're both right, but I just want to do this other thing, or I'm just not into this thing right at this moment, he is way more likely to do what I want to do. So let me give you a real life example of this. So I've mentioned this before. Before marrying Irfan, I was never into TV. I'm just not a TV person at all. I'm not a TV watcher. I love to read. I'll watch documentaries. Once in a while, I'll watch a movie, but it's not like it's not a big thing in my life. It never has been. And like my whole family, I guess, is not really that much into it. My sister still does not even own a television. Like that will explain to you that this is like genuinely not me, right? So when I married Irfan, he's like all into TV watching every single night. And from his perspective, what he tells me now is that it's like he wants to be able to sit together and watch. So my thing was, I would say you can watch TV, like I don't have anything wrong with you watching TV, but I want to be able to go and do my own thing. And so I would convince him of doing this by constantly telling him what was wrong with watching TV. It's bad for you, it's such a waste of time, like it's for losers, like all this negative stuff. And the more he would do this, it was like the more he wanted to watch TV, but he only wanted to watch it with me, and it would drive me insane because I was like, why can't he watch it by himself, right? And from his perspective, it was like, I want to watch TV with my woman, like this is how I connect, like I want to talk together during the movie and I want to cuddle. And so he wanted to do it as a joint experience, and I was like, oh my God, like I can't do this every night. Eventually, I realized that I couldn't make TV watching wrong, right? So I got really clear on what I wanted, and it had nothing to do with TV. So I didn't even mention TV. I just got clear. Instead of saying we never go out, like I kept saying before, we never go out, and he would get really defensive and remind me of all the times we had gotten out, or we would go out and he would keep looking at his time, and like it was almost like he was there just to get it over with, right? That wouldn't make me feel good. So I got really clear and I wrote down exactly what I wanted. And what I really wanted was the things that we had talked about before we got married, that we were going to always grow and learn together. We were going to experience new things. And a big part of our relationship would be this journey that we were taking of adventure and fun and romance. So I went back to that and I'm like, aha, like this is the stuff that he promised me. This is what we discussed. So now when I went back to him and I didn't make TV watching wrong, I didn't even mention the damn TV. Like all I said was, hey, you remember how we used to talk before we got married on the phone, and we were talking about we were going to take all these adventures together, and we were going to have these romantic dates, and we were going to connect and grow and learn together. And he was like, yes, I love that. And he started talking about all these conversations we had. Bingo. Because I could just see that I had hit on a point. All of a sudden, he goes and starts planning all these dates. And so let me give you an example of another compromise versus compliment. Okay, so what happened was he got the picture that I wanted to do things that were kind of like making us grow together, learn, adventure. So what he would do is on his way back from work, he would call me and say, hey, get dressed, we're going out. And so that was fun. Like I'd get dressed and I'd go out. But then a week or two in, I realized that I wanted some dates to be planned in advance, because I like that anticipation of looking at the calendar and saying, oh, in 10 days we're doing that, and like preparing for it and finding the right shoes and picking out my dress. And so I went back to him and I said, I'm loving all these dates. Like we're having so much fun. And I'm like, what would make it even more fun? And he's like, what? I'm like, it would be so fun if, so he's a very spontaneous kind of person when it comes to these things, and I like having a little bit of planning and structure to have something to look forward to. So I mentioned, I'm like, I love that you're so spontaneous and you have all these fun ideas and things for us to do, and I was thinking it would be even more fun if one or two of these dates we put on the calendar and they were kind of like put off in the future. And he was like, why is that? And like, because then it was like, it's like 2 for 1. You get like 2 bonus points, because I get to like look forward to the date. I get to plan my outfit and like really spend that time and thinking through how much fun I'm gonna have on this date. And then when it's like 2, because then when we actually go on the date, it's like even more fun. And he was like, I love that idea. Now, if I had gone to him and said, why did all the dates have to be last minute? Like I had other plans today, or I wanted to just stay at home. It would have been like, oh my God, like now I'm doing something to make her happy and she's still not happy. So can you see the difference between compromise and compliment? It's like his thing is spontaneous, my thing is planned. We can put that together. And so we have a couple dates that are spontaneous throughout the week, and then we have one date that's like planned in advance. So win-win. This is how you compromise and where you really get what you want. And also by doing it this way, it's not like me versus him, like I want dates, you want TV, you know? It's not like fairness, which by the way, I'm gonna do a whole separate training on fairness, because I think in the US culture, I don't know if this is true of other societies as well, but especially in the US society, we tend to think that fairness is love, that if everything is split 50-50, if I'm taking out the trash, then he should be doing something comparable to that. If I'm watching TV 3 nights a week, then 3 nights a week he should be doing something I want. If I say yes to Chinese, then he should be saying yes to Middle Eastern next week. And really, fairness is a transaction. It's very man on man, masculine energy. Fairness is not love. It's not romance. It's not connecting on a deeper level. So please don't take that as fairness, because I think that deserves its own like separate training, because I think we have been brought up in the US to think that fairness is what equals love, but really in the male feminine dynamic, that's not what will get you that really hot, like fiery, passionate romance. Joanne said, excellent, thank you. Shirley said, LOL, hubby wanted me to watch the NCAA finals last night. I watched the first half and he was content with that. I love that. This is compliments. So here's kind of the side kind of story, what happened when he started planning all these dates and he wasn't even turning on the TV. A few weeks into this, I'm like, let's stay in tonight and watch TV. And you could see like the big smile on his face, because this is the first time in my 9.5-year marriage that I have suggested that we watch TV. And he turned it on. He's like, what do you want to watch? And so this is the first time that he asked me what I wanted to watch. So you see how it's like little things like that can build on, and it's you know, like he said, it's like you lose the battle to win the war. And now we're feeling like we're on a team, we're doing things, growing together, versus I'm just kind of commanding him to take me out and then he's doing it as his duty to take me out. Right now when he plans dates, we went and did murder mystery dinner, we went and did painting, we went and did escape room. That was really fun. You guys should do that if you get a chance. That was my first experience doing an escape room, and ours was Sherlock Holmes themed, which I love Sherlock Holmes, so that was really fun. So now when I said I want to grow and learn with you and experience new adventure, that is very different than saying take me out, you never take me out. Because what does take me out mean, right? It's like, okay, we're out. But learning, growing together, adventuring together gives a very different picture to a man of what is your intention for the relationship, versus like take me out. It's like I'm commanding you to do something for me, right? Then they feel like they're sacrificing, and that feels like a compromise versus a compliment. Femina said, also making decisions together. I realize we don't have to make every decision together, causes a lot of tension, especially if he doesn't even care. This is a good one. So Femina, in my relationship, Femina and I were actually talking about this yesterday. So I know exactly what you mean. So in my relationship, this is kind of reversed. Irfan comes from the mindset of that every decision should be made together. And he has good intentions for that. He spent a long time by himself between marriages, right? That was like 9 years. So his kind of ideal relationship was that we would do everything together. Every decision would be made together. And I am not of that mindset. I've been raised to be very independent and very masculine energy, right? So this is something that came difficult, like it was difficult for me to understand. But now that I get that his intentions are not to control or to manipulate, his intention is really good. It's romantic if you really look at it, that he wants to make every decision with me. And so, for example, I mean, even the simplest things, which I think it's kind of even ridiculous, but I can choose to look at it as a negative thing, or I can choose to look at it as a positive thing. I mentioned to him in the beginning, when I was looking at it negatively, I would get upset that he would tell me what color lipstick to wear or what color nail polish to put on. And so again, this is taking something and looking at it negatively, where from his perspective, he's like, I'm interested in every little thing about you. Like, what's wrong with that? And I saw it as a form of control. Now it's like, the other day I mentioned to him, hey, remember that lipstick you picked up for me? I really like it. I've gotten a lot of compliments on YouTube and on Facebook when I post pictures. So he goes to CVS on his way back from work yesterday and buys me 2 more of the same color. So this is kind of the difference where, yes, in the beginning I was looking at that negatively, like, are you going to decide what lip color I wear? Like, what nail polish color I wear? Like, that's weird. Like, that's too much togetherness, right? But now my mindset has changed, whereas I'm like, would I rather that my husband never noticed these things? Or do I want to celebrate the fact that my man is really into little things about me that most men wouldn't even notice, right? So I think some of these things, you can choose to take them any way you want to. It's really if the overall energy of the relationship feels good to you, the intentions are good, you're connected, you're vulnerable, then everything will feel right? And if you're not really connecting, you're not feeling heard and seen, then you feel like something's lacking. I'm going to be doing in the Babes Club a call on live training on surrender. And one of the things that I'm going to talk about in there is why women in the modern world, like now, who we are now, have such a hard time surrendering. I figured this out. There's something that the men are missing, and once they can pick up on this one thing, if you can explain it to them, it's like everything falls into place. I don't want this call to kind of go into that topic because that's like a separate topic on its own, but that call is coming in April. So for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, I create an event on Facebook for these live trainings. So if you're on my Facebook, then in my Facebook group, then you will know when these free live trainings happen, as well as the Babes Club live trainings. Sharmeen said, I think someone asked this question. I do all this for you and you're still not happy, and you just answered it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sharmeen. Yes, this is exactly what happens, is because from their perspective, all they want to do, men, this is kind of like it's built into their DNA, is make the woman that they're with happy. And they do a lot of little things. We don't notice them when we're stuck in our own head thinking about the big things that they're not doing, right? But it's only because we're not really clear, right? For example, I've mentioned this before. My husband is a very acts of service kind of man. So for most of our relationship, like, he pumps my gas, oil changes, pays all the bills, does the groceries, puts them away, helps me cook, takes out the trash. I mean, change out the filters, anything wrong with the house, he's on top of it. He schedules things on his calendar. I never, ever, ever have to worry about a thing. And these were things that I was a homeowner before getting married to Irfan, so I know how much time and effort goes into these things. He's on the phone arguing with people when things go wrong, like shipments go wrong. He spends a lot of effort. I would not appreciate it and not thank him, because I was kind of taking it for granted, because I was thinking, well, but he's not doing this, but he's not taking me on romantic dates, but he's making me watch TV every night, right? But it's because I wasn't really clear. So when I sat down and I got really, really, really clear what I wanted a man that made me the center of his universe, that was obsessed with me, devoted to me. And I'm like, He's doing so much on a daily basis that clearly shows that he wants to make my life so easy, so comfortable. He's like literally handing everything to me on a platter. And I'm really negating all of that, saying, next, because he's not doing the big things that I have like made the focus. But what about the 1,000,001 little things that I don't notice? And so once I started noticing those things and started thanking him for it, now I don't walk around like making it super awkward and embarrassing, saying thank you for that, thank you for that, thank you for that, because literally I would exhaust myself because he does so much. But it's really like catching him in that special moment where he's on the call with like someone changing a bill or something, and I give him a quick squeeze and a kiss on the cheek, and he knows what I mean by that, right? Or once in a while just saying thank you so much for taking care of that. I hate pumping the gas and I love that you always do it for me. Or saying something simple like, I feel so taken care of, you make life so easy for me. Like little things like that. And the more I do that, I've noticed that like it just puts a big smile on his face, and the more it comes from a place of really, wow, she's a woman that I can make happy, right? And all the things that I've ever wanted to hear from him, every single night he's saying those things to me. He says like, several times a week, he's like, let's not watch TV, let's just talk today. And those were words that I would never, like if you told me this a few years ago that my husband would want to like just stay up all night and talk, I would have laughed, like died laughing. Like it was just not happening. Because he's such an introvert like this, I could not even imagine him wanting to do this. But now he says things like, is this what heaven is supposed to be like? Like, you're just the most wonderful woman ever. Like this, I'm in heaven, things like that. And it's really just lowering, like making the energy in your home more playful, light, knowing that his intentions are good, but that he's a human being and that he's always not going to get it right. But when I know that his intentions are right, then it's easy to kind of give him the benefit of the doubt and also steer him in the direction that I want him to go with the right communication skills, right? Instead of saying you're wrong, TV watching is wrong, or you can never make me happy, or not noticing all the little things that he does. That's showing him this is a complicated woman. No matter what I do, she's never going to be happy. So why don't I just withdraw and check out, right? Oh, hi, Say. Welcome. Ken, good morning. Okay, good. So, ladies, thank you so much for joining. I do want to mention as a special, the Arouse His Love Masterclass is for $49 this week. So it's down from $97. So this is where I talk about the masculine feminine dynamic in relationships and give you 10 different tools that you can use in your relationship to kind of start setting the path so that your relationship becomes a kind of romantic, light and airy and playful. You take that heaviness out of the relationship. You learn how men fall in love, how romance is very different for them than it is for women. And so it's $49. Grab it now. Also, as part of the Goddess program, the June module is going to be called 90-Day Relationship Rehab, and it's going to deep dive into decoding how to communicate properly, how to understand your spouse or your partner if you're just dating someone or you're just in a casual relationship or a committed relationship, and how to know how to be able to communicate, how to keep your energy, how to compromise and win, like we talked about, how to surrender, how to get what you want, and also be able to love in a way that's meaningful to the other person. So that's coming in June. I'm very excited about that. But that's going to be deeper dive into Arouse His Masterclass class. So I really recommend you grabbing that now at $49 so that you can kind of be prepared for the high level version, and then you can go into the deeper one. So Joanne said, oh, your stories with hubby are so cute. By the way, you are my company on the drive to work, putting aside to respond. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, Joanne, for hanging out, and to everyone else as well. So I'm going to post a replay of this on YouTube for everyone else, and I'll post the link to Arouse His Masterclass in the description box. There's no coupon needed. It's already reduced, so there's no coupon code for that. And I'll also link my High Value Worthy Woman Facebook group for those of you guys watching this on YouTube. Love you so much. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.